Welcome back to the Passage Unlocked. We attempt to unlock the Bible one verse at a time. I'm so glad you could join me today as we explore a topic that challenges each of us to live differently. Today we're talking about walking by faith and not by sight. 2 Corinthians 5 and verse 7 says, "For we walk by faith, not by sight." Such a short yet powerful verse. What does it really mean to walk by faith? How can we live a life that depends more on trusting God's unseen plan than what we can physically see or understand? That's what we're going to be unlocking today. Let's start by talking about what faith is. Hebrews 11 and verse 1 says, "Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen." Faith is believing in what we cannot see, but yet trusting it to be true. In our daily lives, we often are guided by what we see, feel, or experience. Living by faith means stepping beyond that and trusting in God's promises, even when we can't see the full picture. Think of faith as trusting there is a bridge in the fog. You might not be able to see the whole path, but you take the next step because you trust that the bridge is there. That's what it means to live by faith. Life is full of uncertainties. Maybe you're facing a tough decision, or maybe things aren't going the way that you planned. It's natural to feel anxious and unsure, but this is exactly the moment when walking by faith matters most. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 tells us to trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not on thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. It's hard, isn't it? It's hard to trust God when the road seems unclear, but God promises to direct our paths. His view is eternal. He sees what we cannot see. He knows what is best for us, even when it doesn't make sense to us. Walking by faith means choosing to trust God even when we don't have all the answers. It's not easy, but it's a walk that leads to peace. Philippians 4 and 7 reminds us that God will give us peace, quote, beyond understanding if we place our trust in Him. Let's take a look at a few examples from Scripture where people walk by faith, not by sight. Think about Abraham in Genesis 12. God told him to leave his home to go into a land that He would show him, but did not give him the full plan up front. Abraham had to trust God step by step that God would guide him. Or consider Noah. He built an ark when there wasn't a drop of rain in sight, trusting God's warning about the flood that it would come to pass. Imagine the faith that it took to keep working day after day after day, even when people questioned his sanity. Even Moses had to trust God when the Israelites were at the edge of the Red Sea with nowhere to go. And yet, God parted the waters and He made a way. Time and time and time again, the Bible shows us that faith opens doors through God's miracles. So how do we apply this to our lives today? How do we walk by faith and not by sight when the uncertainties of life seem overwhelming? Here are 3 practical ways we can start. Number 1, pray for guidance. James 1 and verse 5 says that if we lack wisdom, we can ask that of God, and He would give it to us generally. When we're uncertain, we need to turn to God and seek His direction. Number 2, trust God's timing. Sometimes we don't see things happening when we think they should, but we've seen throughout Scripture that God's timing is perfect. In Ecclesiastes 3:11, He says, He hath made everything beautiful, watch this, in His time. We need to trust that His timing is better than ours. Number 3, take the next step. You might not see the whole journey, but faith is about moving forward in trust. Just like the Israelites, when they stepped in the Red Sea, we need to move forward, step forward, trusting in God that He will make a way for us. Walking by faith means surrendering to God's plan, even when it is not fully clear to us. It means choosing to trust Him even when we can't see the outcome. Remember, God is faithful and He will guide your steps.